Good evening, everybody. I know your time is very valuable, and some of us have a couple extra appointments going on. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. I believe we have a quorum. And then, so I'll entertain a motion to reference our minutes, please. Has everybody had a chance to?
Yes, sir.
peruse them?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we accept the motion of the meeting of August 14th.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and properly second that the minutes from the August meeting be accepted. I'll start on this end. John?
Aye. Aye.
I have corrections to those minutes
Okay.
and I don't know what page it is because there's no page numbers on this, but it starts at the top, number 10, new additions and adjacent. And you come down under staff recommendations, the second bullet. It says findings as stated, and it has parens, applicant may appeals. I think it's appeal to the city commission. You come down under Mr. Kroshik, ask for clarification, is they? I think that should be if they. You come down to the third paragraph from the end, the last sentence, firms that the city has already spoke with. If you're going to use has, it should be spoken with. Those are the only corrections I have.
Thank you.
Well, I'll amend my motion then and approve the minutes as corrected.
Second.
So our motion has been amended to include the corrections as have been noted. And thank you very much for your initial contribution. Would you care to start this round of voting,
You
please?
give me something, I'm going to read it.
Exactly.
Well, we appreciate that. We're just testing you, so.
So,
Aye. Aye. Aye.
and aye. It's a unanimous vote that the minutes be accepted with the duly noted corrections. Thank you. And according to our agenda, we don't have any old business,
Correct.
but under our new business, we have several introductions. And if
Yep.
I will defer to the table for the first one, please.
Okay, so I think most of you, except for Mr. Gibson, met Jacqueline Porter, our new city planner. She's been with the city for about 2 months now, so you will start seeing her. You won't stop seeing me, but she will, be here as well. So we are excited to have her on board so we can get some more work done. And Mr. Dick Gibson is our newest addition to the board. If you want to maybe just give a little bit of your background or interest in the preservation board.
Well, I've been in Leavenworth since 1986, when I came back from Fort Sill to my fourth tour at Fort Leavenworth, and retired here in 1993. Then I worked for the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce for 14 years. And I retired from there, and then I started my own business. Some of you may have been aware of the 27 committee. And I retired from that, gave it back to the board and said, you run it. But my interest in preservation is with the First Presbyterian Church here in Leavenworth. I was responsible for getting it onto the National Registry of Historic Places. And we have benefited from the tax credit capability through the state SHPO office, and are in the process of another renovation project that will be using tax credits for part of that expense.
Okay. Well, welcome on board, and we're always looking for someone to inject some energy and some critique and criticism, and I appreciate your getting off on the good foot on the first day. So may I defer back to, normally because I'm a Kansan, we'd go ladies first. Ms. Porter, would you tell us just a little bit about yourself, please, if you don't
Sorry,
mind?
that I should have had you.
Yes, I'm originally from Amber, Oklahoma, a really small town, 45 minutes southwest of Oklahoma City. I graduated from the high school of Tuttle, which is just north of Amber. I graduated from the University of Oklahoma, spent 6.5 years there. I got my master's in regional and city planning there, my undergrad's in mathematics, and a minor in geography. And yeah, I mean, I did planning in Tuttle for 1.5 years, and then I came here. I'm young.
That means you're malleable, and we're looking forward to you joining our community because we're constantly growing. We're getting better every single day. So welcome to both of you. So now that we've got that established, let's get to work. Okay. And if you would like to give us the staff's review, if you would please.
Yep, so the property we have tonight is 223 South Fifth Street. You'll probably know it's just down the street here at Fifth and Cherokee. This is the property owned by, that Karma Cakes has purchased and is looking to move their business into. And they are looking to make some exterior changes to the building, so I will let Jackie go over their proposal and go through the criteria.
Okay, so the applicant's renovating the inside and the outside. Try to cut out what she already said.
So,
No, you're good. Basically, they're reamping. We're here because they are doing stuff to the exterior. They are wanting to paint the building gray. Basically, kind of upping it with gray with a red and black accent colors. Here is their illustration of what they're proposing. Where everything is, they're going to put. They're proposing to put corrugated.
Corrugated.
Yep, thank you. Profiled sheet metal along, yes, there. And then as well as the cornice at the top, leaving the architectural,
Yeah, I think they would have little kind of cutouts
Yes,
in the metal to leave those projections up there, so.
yes. The attachment that I had was the current pictures of the property. That was just staff pictures showing of the current aesthetics. But this is of what they're proposing to do as well. There is a set, believe it's an entrance where, the entrance that goes up to the second floor, that has the same geometric shapings, there we go, as that up top at the cornice. So we didn't go into detail what they plan on doing with the door, but they are putting the sheet metal over that and the top. So on to the required reviews. Number one, y'all know what it is. The existing structure will undergo physical changes by adding black sheet metal to cover and replace a portion of the building's exterior, replacement of the ledge of similar black material. It's like the little awning portion they're planning on replacing, and with the similar black material. The structure will undergo cosmetic changes by painting the building gray with an accent of colors of red and black around the windows.
And just so you might not be able to read it, so the building would be gray, and then the little arches over the windows would be black, with the little detail just under that being red.
As well as down in the storefront where they mimic
Some black and black
Yes.
and red down along the base there under the windows.
Correct. Number two, with what is being proposed, instead of preserving and restoring the existing features, the architectural details along the cornice, which is the top portion, will be covered by the sheet metal, losing the historic significance of the prominent features of the building, so the geometric frames that are up there, leaving the architectural ornaments that are sticking out. Number three, the sheet metal is being proposed to cover and replacing existing features, which does affect the physical records of its time and place and use. Then number 4, any prior changes to the building do not have any known historical significance. Number 5, existing historical features will be altered. The cornice with the geometric shapes on it will be covered with sheet metal. Number 6, the proposed changes involve the embellishment of the color of the historic features of the wall, as well as the established sheet metal will be to the aesthetics of the exterior. Additional deteriorated architectural features presented along the cornice are proposed to be covered rather than repaired. Please review attachment A for a visual comparison of current to proposed materials, which this one does too. Number 7, no chemical or physical treatments are being proposed. Number 8, no known significant archaeological resources exist for the preservation. Number 9, the proposed changes significantly alter historic materials and detail that characterize the property. And then number 10, the proposed changes include in the introduction of sheet metal to the facade would be difficult to remove in the future and impairing the ability to restore the essential form of the integrity of the building, and in the area proposed to be covered by the sheet metal along the transom, the deteriorated features could easily be repaired to its original state, so the essential form or the integrity of the property would be repaired. Yeah.
Okay.
So the staff recommends to disapprove the request based on the analysis and findings included in this report.
Okay, before we get into the discussion of the 8 out of the 10 requirements that I observe are not met, is there someone here to speak on behalf of the building? Yes. If you would kindly come to the microphone, please.
Hi, thank you for listening to us tonight. So we essentially bought, I think, one of the ugliest buildings in Leavenworth, but we have wonderful plans for it. We want to revise it.
I'm sorry, miss, for record, can you please give us your
Renee
name and
Shappy
address?
Lemons.
I'm sorry?
Renee Shappy Lemons. I own Karma Cakes, and we purchased this building to expand and to hopefully bring this place back to life again. As you know, it's been set in for quite some time and not been very pretty to look at. So we're hoping we can change that. Our proposal with the sheet metal honestly was something quick to kind of close it up. May I go up here and show you?
Please.
A lot of, when they took out these transom windows that used to be here evidently at one time, they just put a cheap fix on there and it's not even caulked in the back, so it leaks down. So this metal was a quick fix to button everything up so we can get our business moved in there and make it more sound for the winter and the rainy months. This up here, we found a picture from 2001 that was taken. It's actually on the Historical Society website, and these geometrical things were never there. This up here is actually plywood. When they took the metal, this used to be covered in metal before 2001. When they took the plywood and they just covered up and made those. So as from what I can find, those geometrical things were never there to begin with. It was just brick. So I think that was just a quick fix to cover some things up. Unless you guys have pictures that I don't have, and I would really be interested because I want to find out all the history that we can on the building. In the meantime, we got the denial that this would not be approved, so we've kind of done some rethinking, trying to figure out what we can do. So for the meantime, we don't have it in the budget to replace all these transom windows. There's not even frames left. That would be over $20,000. I'm already redoing these 4 storefronts on the inside, so if you can imagine, my investment in this building is already more than what I thought. So we would like to, if we can scratch the sheet metal idea, because I understand that we just copied off from one of the other buildings downtown and said, hey, that would be a really quick fix. We could build, we would leave these windows for right now. There is one crack, so we'd have to figure out how to replace that without ruining the rest of them. But John, my husband, he's actually a contractor too, so he could build just like little, just kind of frame this in where they had just put up this cheap, what is that board called? Masonite board. It's even like bowing out. I mean, it's not a very good fix for what they did right there. But with them having metal covering the whole building at one time, it worked. They took the metal down in 2001, I believe, or around that time, and just painted it. The paint's all flaking off. It's not a very pretty sight. So we understand the metal thing. We get it. We want the building to look nice. That's our end result. But we can't. It's not in the budget to replace all the transom windows and whatnot. We just need to seal it up and so it doesn't leak. It leaks.
So there have been a lot of repairs that did go through the city itself. I'm not talking you, but in the
Right.
past.
I couldn't find any records of anything. I don't know the pictures that you're talking, I couldn't find pictures.
Yeah,
tagged.
here's this one, and this is, actually, I just pulled this off of the website, the Kansas Historical website. Because I was on there trying to find history at one
Yeah, I
time,
was
so.
too, I was too, and I found what the descriptions, like the written descriptions,
At the
which
bottom
are
of
in the
page,
packets.
They had pictures. So that's, see, and then this is all sheet metal at one time, and the windows were covered. So that since then has been taken off, some paint was thrown up there, and then this up here that they just put like some plywood, the plywood's all falling apart. Like this.
Start on that. And so,
There was nothing there at one time.
Yeah, and I know that, obviously in the past, the city had allowed, or, not even really allowed, it just happened. Metal was put up on a lot of storefronts downtown. I know the building across from you guys has metal, all up and down, there's metal all over. And so that happened, during a time when we weren't reviewing, the city wasn't reviewing historical structures for, these types of
I
things.
don't think this committee existed back in the day
Right.
when that happened.
Right, so I know that there is quite a bit of that through downtown, and so, our goal now is to not have any more introduced and to, hopefully at some point, just through attrition as things need to be replaced, kind of get rid of a lot of the metal we had. And so in 2001, like you said, the metal siding that was on this building was taken off, which was a great start. And so I think we would definitely be open to, some alternatives to kind of doing what you guys need to do, maybe not, restoring fully, but not adding metal into it.
He can kind of explain the
Yeah.
idea better than.
My name's John Lemons and I'm Renee's husband, but what I would do, I can frame this across here and I can make it look like there's windows there for right now. I'm not opposed to putting the windows back. It's just not in the budget right now. It's getting cold. I need to insulate behind it. I can frame this nice, trim it all out, and make it look like windows, and you can paint the squares smoke gray to look like the windows there or right here.
in the second half of the building, yes.
We wouldn't take these out or cover these up, but I could make I could frame this, and then when I trim it out, I can make it look like there's windows, and we can paint the squares like the smoke gray that those windows. For right now, it'll come off easy. I'm gonna tap on it to the brick, pull it off, seal it up, later on down the road.
Are any of the windows currently behind that masonry?
No, there's not even any of the frames there. It's just
Yeah,
plywood.
they just been pulled out and
Yeah,
had plywood stuck in there.
everything's pulled out. Where you see all this stuff, there's not a track or anything for any of the windows. It's all gone.
So at least as far as we can tell, when we're talking about what the previous condition of that was, from what you're sharing with us, is that we don't seem to have any of those pieces in there at all, period. At least based on the renderings that we have. So a couple of my recommendations are gonna be, is to see if we can do a little more research and come up with some more images of what this building looked like at least prior to 2001. Because as you're explaining it to me now, is that all the changes that, at least I've seen in this initial rendering of the package, are things that you're at least verbally indicating that you're going to pass off on, and then come at us with a different approach, if that makes.
Right here, wherever you see one of these things, there's a 2x4.
behind it.
There's no frame or anything. They just gutted everything, put some 2x4s in there and nailed that up. There's no insulation behind it, nothing.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If we were to proceed along your suggestion of framing that in, and then maybe eventually down the road, put some windows in there, that would be really nice. But say we just frame that in, as it looks right there with that photograph, tell me about the paint scheme that you're talking about again. I want to know how it's going to look up on, particularly up on the top. Those things that were added that are not in this photograph, when they took the metal off, I agree with you, they must have just did that for what reason, I haven't a clue.
Well,
But it's there now, so would you trim those out in a secondary color? I mean, I don't know.
we wanna paint the whole base of the building gray.
Gray, and that's
Like a
okay.
light
Like
gray.
a light gray.
I'm okay with that.
We wanna put black around
Yeah.
these and paint the dentals that are black already. So
Okay.
paint all your accents on the building black.
Okay.
And then paint like, cause her paint scheme is red, black and gray
Right.
anyway. Paint all the arches in here red.
On the
Okay.
inside.
On
That
the,
would-
on the inside, yes.
That would be the only red, would be just the little
Well, and then
touches,
I think
and,
so.
and
there
down
would be
and
some
and
down
below,
around
I
Yeah.
understand that, okay. So you would just, the little rectangular things, you just keep them black?
What sort of material is up there behind those little rectangles? Is it plywood? That's all plywood?
They're all, it's all
They
foam.
just plywood it
Yeah, you
over
can,
apparently.
you can
when
kind of
it-
tell. Is there something else you could do up there besides metal to kind of?
How about just take those things down?
Well,
Yeah.
maybe just remove those.
Return it back to the brick.
Well,
Well,
returning
I
it
don't
back
know
to the
what-
brick
I don't know
would
what
be,
shape the brick is.
yeah, that would be trickier.
That's probably why they just covered it with plywood.
I'm sure that's
Oh, you mean
probably
it's a
right.
sheet of plywood,
Yeah, they just
and
took sheets
then,
of plywood and tap coned it to the brick.
and then they've got that little rectangle detail on top of that sheet of
Yes,
plywood?
Yeah.
yes, it's not on the building at all.
And then they notched it around those little black pieces?
Yeah,
of
yeah, you can
steel?
tell us what they
Yes.
did.
Crazy.
Because my initial plan was just to cut the run metal across that, and then I could J-channel it out and then bend, so it would seal up the whole building, so it would quit getting water and everything.
I don't know, maybe, I don't know what, I don't want to add it to your building. But maybe taking those rectangular things off the top would at least get it back to the photograph that we saw there. I mean, the brick, taking it back and making a brick would be ideal, but Lord only knows, and how much money that would cost, that could get pretty, they covered it up for a reason.
That's why where we're at, we're talking about this
Yeah.
pieces through here, too,
Yeah.
where the windows are.
Understand?
Well, Ken, what's an option for them if they pull that off and they realize that brick is crumbling behind that plywood?
Well, it probably is.
So which is probably why that plywood's up there.
I'm sure that's why it's there.
So we probably should give them an option to keep something up there to save the.
Will
brick.
there be some?
I wanna keep these here.
Yeah, those are
Right.
good,
Dentals.
those are
But I
good,
was trying to think of something that I could put up there that would go with that, to go around.
yeah.
Well, and I don't even think those are the original pieces, dental pieces up there, cause I think they used to be brick at one time, if you look at that.
And
And I
probably
think they
so.
put wood ones up there to mimic it. So those are not even the
Oh, those are
original.
wood,
those
those
are
are not
wood
brick?
too?
I don't think
Yeah,
those are
these are
original.
wood.
Okay.
Those are not original.
See, and what they tried to do is mimic what
Mimic.
photograph you gave us, I
Yeah,
believe,
yeah, I think
yeah.
it looks like it used to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not looking to change the whole building, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to seal it up and make it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It just helps us.
And that's
understand.
important, that if we can help you to give the
Exactly.
approval to get, before winter sets in and the rains, because then it's just gonna destroy it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, that's heating and cooling it and everything else down there. I mean, the air will go right out.
That would
No kidding.
probably,
If that's wood, those rectangles up there,
Yes.
and there's damaged brick behind it, water's gonna get behind there, and it's gonna continue to damage it, and you're gonna have tuck pointing issues.
But if I seal it all up, it won't get wet back there.
I think that's why they wrapped that very top up here is
That's
metal. I
metal.
think they
Yeah,
wrapped the
that's-
metal down over it at one time.
When they put the new roof on, they capped it, because I'm sure the
Yeah.
cap was getting bad.
yeah.
Okay.
So they've got metal hanging down this far from the top already, for the cap of the roof.
Keep that water from getting behind.
Well, I don't know exactly how to proceed. I'd like to, I think we're all in agreement. I think to help you guys out, since you've taken this metal stuff out of the picture, which wouldn't be good, I don't know if we could come up with something tonight to keep things going, or if you guys want to come
Would there
back
be
with a.
some other material that you could use up there besides metal?
What if I just used flat metal instead of corrugated metal?
No,
Like soffit metal. It's wide. I mean, you can bend the creases on it and lock it together. It makes it tight, and then J-channel around all these dentals and seal it all up. I mean, it would, you wouldn't even, it doesn't.
you wouldn't see. Yeah. I don't know, that, I think that, I mean, that
I
doesn't.
mean, just around the top, I mean,
Yeah.
down here, I would do.
But it doesn't fit the Secretary of Standards, the Secretary of Interior standards to add metal to it. I mean, as it exists, my idea would be just to chisel off the little octagon things and paint it in the color scheme that you've described and do the.
I've gotta do something to fix
Yeah,
all.
well,
Yeah, I mean,
well,
they've got it-
those are,
It's got holes
Yeah.
and stuff in it, I'm
Yeah.
trying to seal the building up.
yeah, well, whatever you have to do up there, I guess, to fill in that hole, get a lot of putty, I don't know. I hear you.
I think I would be more amenable to some sort of like flat metal, material. The corrugated metal,
The corrugated is no
it's not a
good.
good
That's not-
look,
that's
and
not
I
good.
think at least, you know, a flat metal, even though it's not a historical material, it wouldn't change
The
the
building's so bummed
appearance
up.
too much from what it is right now. And I mean, I think that's really what we're going for is to get the appearance there and, you know, trying to
I'm
balance
okay
that with
with
what you
that.
guys need to do
If you think
to
that's
get your
gonna be
building.
okay, I mean, putting metal up there is probably a better idea, for sure, than the wood.
I mean, I wouldn't use the corrugated, I could buy sheets of the.
Just
I could just buy
regular
soft
sheet metal,
material
yeah.
And roll it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, even, you know, having it black or something, you know, as kind of a visual cap on the building, you know, it doesn't have to be painted gray, the same color as the wall. But yeah, I think the corrugated was really kind of our
Corrugated's no good.
sticking
Well,
point.
I just saw it across the street. and I
it's,
was
well,
I know.
it's across the street on Jenny's Antiques, yeah.
I'm just thinking of a quick fix for you, you know what I mean? Just trying to seal it up.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not opposed to going back and putting up windows in that eventually.
Well, that'd be
But
nice.
what I wanna do is, it will come off really easy.
Sure.
I mean, I'm gonna tack on some 2x4s along this and cap it, and then I'll put the material there, and like I said, I can frame it in to look like windows are there for right now, until I just need to get it sealed up and insulated.
How quick are you wanting to do this? It's pretty quick, I guess, huh? Yeah.
Winter's gonna be here.
Yeah.
before long.
3 months ago.
Unfortunately.
Winter's gonna be here before too long.
If I may add a couple of thoughts.
Take it.
From my perspective, this piece up here is not historical.
No, I agree with that,
And
yeah.
this piece is not historical.
Right.
Right.
So let them kind of have some flexibility in that, those two areas, as long as they don't touch any of the brick or any of the other facade. Then they
I'm okay
can
with that.
do the flat metal, or they can do the black. Yeah, I'm fine. But then that way they get it sealed up. And I don't care if it's windows or not, since that's kind of what I call a flexible
Right,
space
no,
on the
you
building.
can do that later.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they wish to, once they start getting some
I
customers.
guess a piece of metal would be the better solution, no doubt.
So
That
are
was-
we all in pretty much agreement that we're going to be distracting from the non-historical perspective of it? Because it doesn't meet
Building's
the.
bunged up right now. I mean, the best thing that happened to that building, in my estimation, was when they took all the metal off of it, the metal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
Right,
best thing that
that's-
happened. Unfortunately, there's now some eyesores and some discrepancies, but those can be fixed.
We have a few more questions since we're here, if that's
Okay, what would you do if you did that to the top, say you put a piece of metal and took, the rectangles would disappear, what about the door then?
Blocks.
Well, we need to talk about this door.
Okay.
That was my next thing.
Okay, let's go.
We need to talk about this door.
All right.
This door, there's no way to secure it except for a padlock. It is this thick. There's no way to seal it, you can see the building's tilted, so I need to put a door in here that I can lock.
Okay.
I mean, I would get a double, door that looked like these, but I would actually put a double door here, or one that had the side transom where you could open both of them to leave it the full width of the stairway going up.
Like a glass door like these.
Like the metal downstairs, but they
Yeah.
make them where you can have the two
Yeah.
shorter double doors and open them both, but I would leave this piece here.
Okay.
There's no way to secure this.
Yeah. It's,
Other than
it's,
that.
it's
And I-
really ugly.
Yeah, and I think that'd be, I mean, visually, you're gonna have the same, kind of doors going across the face of the building, so I wouldn't have a problem with
I
that.
don't think that'd be a problem for me.
Okay, so my overview to kind of make a summary of all the pieces, we're all in agreement that there's gonna be somewhat of a modification of it. As it is right now, the idea to reject it as you presented it, I think is workable for both pieces. My long-term recommendation would be is that if you can give us some updates, sketches that kind of represent what your concept is going to be, including the things that you're going to do in the door, and indicate about the metal pieces coming down from the top. I'm not trying to say that we want to flat out reject it. It's just, it's easier to present it as opposed to revisiting the whole entire conversation, because we have three options. We have
Well, and you can, sorry to interrupt,
No, you're good.
if you are all in agreement as to the changes from what's presented, so, we'll do this on top, we'll do this on the transom, do this with the door, you can make a motion for an approval with X,
these
Y, Z
stipulations,
stipulations.
Yeah.
In the interest of not making the owners have to wait a month to come back, because
That's
I know
right.
they're
Yeah, we
needing to
don't
get
wanna
work
do
done,
that. I
so
don't wanna do
if
that.
everybody's in agreement with what changes are being made, you can certainly do that, and make a motion with stipulations.
All right. If I could have one of the committee members summarize that in a short,
I'm making some notes.
in a short statement. I think we will be able to accommodate the owners of the building so they can get back to work tomorrow, and that we've done due diligence on our portion also. So if you give them just a few more seconds to kind of get their verbiage together.
Well,
I'm glad to see that we're continuing to be flexible. Thank
I'll
you,
take a
everybody.
stab at it,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. The motion would be that we would approve the changes that we discussed tonight. The top would have metal, that flat metal, and you'd keep the little dental at the bottom, but the rectangles would be gone. That the masonite piece on the lower level would be replaced with a frame that could eventually put windows in, but would kind of mimic windows that are existing on the north side, and that the door would be removed that's not functioning, that will not lock, and a similar door as to the rest of the north side of the building would be okay. And the paint scheme, I have no problem with the paint scheme as we described,
It's the west side.
as far as the gray and the black and red.
Ken, a couple of things.
Yes, sir.
Could you, I'm sorry, could you repeat what you said about the light colored piece over the entry, over the that piece there? What were you thinking there with?
It would be, they would take the masonite out and frame it in, so that it would mimic windows, and that eventually it would be done in such a manner that windows could be added at a later date, if so inclined to do that.
And the only other point of clarity I'd like to contribute to that is that the door is on the west side of the building as opposed to the north side.
Yeah.
It's on the-
Well, I meant to,
The north
the
end.
doors to
Yes.
mimic the doors to the north.
Except
Yeah.
for one.
On the
Just
doors.
just to make sure that our initial specifics are
Yes.
close
Yeah, there you go.
as close as possible.
Did we capture that sort of, staff?
Ken, another point of clarification on the dental, I'm calling it the dental work there on the
Yes.
top, those black, those are actually
Yes.
wood also
Yes.
and not historic.
Yes.
So would you be okay if they excluded those?
Well,
And just went to a flat surface?
I'd sort of kind of like to see the dental work at the top, because they've mimicked what the original looked like, I think. I mean, are you okay with that?
We would like to keep them.
Okay.
Oh, would you? Okay,
Okay.
I just know it's a lot of work to
Well,
cut out
it's
all
gonna be
those
more
little
work,
pieces.
it for sure
So
will be
I
more
just-
work, but
you want a nice, clean, flat
I
slate.
think that will stand out
Okay.
nicely with the
I'm
gray.
gonna do that with the corrugated anyway.
Okay, if you're cool with that, then.
So it'll be a gray color scheme on the top, the metal will be painted gray, and the little dental work would do black.
We're gonna also need to include the little awning portion that you're gonna approve it as.
I'm sorry?
The little,
Well, my thought is on the awning would be in that flex space right over the doors. So
well,
we're-
you're
right.
replacing the whole to the same material, right? That just needs to be approved as
What are we talking about?
the little,
Over the door,
the little,
yes.
nope,
oh,
To the right.
down, nope, up, Julie.
This here?
That transom?
Nope, down, the lining at the bottom, you can't see it from this view, where she's lining,
Is
that
that
comes
Where
out,
the
yeah,
soffit is?
Yes.
yeah, whatever it's called, I don't.
That soffit actually all needs to be replaced.
Yeah,
Right,
it all-
yeah,
it's all
that-
replaced, but I can
Right,
put
that
it
just
back.
Are
needs
you
to
guys
be,
just replacing that?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not
Yes.
taking that out, you're just
No.
replacing?
yeah, with same material,
Yeah.
Same material.
Yep.
It'll look the same.
And you mimic that on the right-hand side of that?
It's the
The
same.
door.
It looks like it's
Same all the way
there,
across.
it just looks a little more
All these soffits are
pronounced
the
here
same,
because of
they're
those
just rotten, all
transom
the water's been
windows.
running down in them, so
Yeah.
the wood's all,
I asked one more question.
Yes, sir.
Your business is gonna expand and use the whole building? Or are you gonna lease out some of the other?
we have the right here. We have from the corner to the frame shop.
Okay,
We have
Okay.
4 storefronts, the other 2 are already rented.
okay.
The golf
But you're
shop.
but you're painting, you own the whole thing. You have two lease spaces and the rest of it's yours.
Yes.
I got you. I don't know, that's,
One big cupcake shop, huh?
Yeah,
I don't know if that's much of a motion, you guys, but that's, I mean, I hope that the staff has kind of
But I think
captured
that
that.
we really needed to have some clarification
Well, I-
of that. So as I look at the faces down both sides, we seem to all be kind of in the consensus.
like we can write it so that the motion is to approve with the changes as discussed,
Okay.
and then in our minutes, we'll detail those
Okay.
changes out,
Okay.
and we can send those to you later this week, just to make sure that we captured everything, and
That'd be fine.
we can send them to you as well, just to make sure that everybody is on the same page, but I think we're all understanding correctly what we're talking about.
That was my motion,
Yeah,
as it
that way-
as it
That way
is.
if we miss something, then we catch it, we don't have to have another meeting
So if
over the
if
email.
all minds are clear, I'm gonna entertain a motion,
Well, that was sort of what I did.
but it needs to be seconded.
Second.
Okay.
So it has
Thank you,
been
guys.
moved and properly seconded with the discussed changes, which we will receive copies of
Yes,
later
we'll-
on
yeah,
next week.
we'll get you that
So that we
this
have
week.
the specifics in front of us, that we
Okay.
permit Karma Cakes to continue to move forward in their project. And since it's been moved and properly seconded, I think I'll start with you.
Aye.
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 Aye. And so it's a unanimous. John and Renee, if you could do the best you can do one day at a time, we'll be looking forward to seeing the finished product that we kind of drive by every single day.
I'm just glad
No
you got
pressure.
that creepy doll out of the window.
Before we got there, yeah, I probably could auction that thing off.
No, the Norma Jean sign out of the window, yes.
Yeah.
Norma Jean Boulevard.
Those are the two things, the creepy doll and the Norma Jean sign.
Yeah. When, our best case scenario, when are you guys hoping to open?
In time for Halloween.
Yeah.
What, you're still
Are
here?
these-
You should go, I've taken 5 dumpsters of stuff out.
Yeah, and then just.
Dick has a question.
I have a question. Should we stipulate that they come back to us at a period of time as to when they may be able to do the actual windows? Like
I
6
wouldn't.
months from now,
Yeah,
can
no,
they give us a report?
I don't think that we can require them to do that, but, I mean, unless you want to. I mean,
Well, it
I,
could be
what,
10 years from now,
well,
we
yeah.
still don't
well,
have windows.
Well, that's true.
But if we don't put an artificial suspense in there, we won't be able to have people comply with the recommendations that we're making. So I would ask that we add that as an addendum, that if in 6 months, you could return and give us an update on when your projection of windows would possibly put in.
I think
Yeah.
6 months is
We're
pretty
talking a
aggressive.
few years.
Yeah, I would
It's gonna take
suggest
6 months.
staying
How about a
away
year?
from,
How about come back in a year and tell us what's up?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay,
yeah, just kind of an update
an
on,
update.
You always have to have a
Yeah.
point to start with, and then
Sure.
and that's
pushing it
not
out
to
through
say
your-
that
thank you.
windows are required
Oh,
to be
no,
added.
no.
That
It
is
just
not to
kind
say
of-
that windows are required. We're looking at a 12-month
Yeah.
update on the progress that's been made across the building, which will provide us some, a little bit more in-depth details so that we're able to better represent it to the city in case we need to do something else with the city commission.
Okay, we've got one more item, I guess, a minor certificate.
Ms. Porter, is that palatable for you? Okay, so then we will probably see you every day for the rest of your life, but at least from a year from now, we'll look forward to at least looking at some of your final accomplishments in a rendering, if you don't mind, as you're kind of doing that. And as we say, just stay focused and good luck, because you're in a highly visible corner. And I hope you're able to make that October opening piece. There's a lot of really significant things occurring in our community in the front end of November. And you'll be one of the more visible highlights that'll impact that, not only visibly for the community, but also to be able to support your business at that point, because we anticipate a remarkable number of people here in the community in the month of November. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, I'll get with you offline and remind you what's gonna happen. This is our 100th,
You can say it on the record.
this is our 100th year of our Veterans Day Parade, and so, we're trying to just make sure that we share that kind of information with you, so as you get fatigued, just remember. that- Exactly, but it's just an additional incentive for you, but we wish you well on the project.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming to represent yourself, because that really helps that.
I think we did
Yeah.
the right thing. Obviously, it wasn't gonna fly with what was originally proposed, but I think we've had some good conversation and help you guys out to keep moving down the road, you know.
You want some nail bags and a hammer?
So if that'll conclude that piece of it, shall we move to the next item?
Yes, sir, please.
Which is our certificate of appropriateness. Minor certificate of appropriateness. Thank you, John. That's why you're the VP. You always get me with that point. The minor certificate of appropriateness. Let me catch up with it. Okay. This is for 407 Walnut.
I must abstain from the
Yes.
vote.
Yes. Thank you, and I appreciate that.
There's really not a vote.
And this is a minor certificate of appropriateness, so actually no votes needed. We just provide these as information. And I think I'd actually spoke to you on the phone, last week or so. So again, just kind of to recap, any interior or minor work, we just do a minor certificate of appropriateness that we approve administratively, and we provide those to the board as information, and then those get sent off to the state for record keeping, so. And we
Well, I
only have
make a
one.
motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that the meeting be adjourned. I just have two short items as always.
Okay.
Again, I'd like to thank Dick for taking the time to join us. We can always use another worker bee. We'd like to congratulate Ms. Porter on her ascension to this position. And as always, I'd like to thank the team that makes us look pretty competent up here when we're trying to dialogue with folks about what it is that they're trying to get done to make sure that everybody's going home at the end of the day with a good concept on where we're going forward. And then finally, I just like to acknowledge that on this day, many years ago, someone was birthed in the community, and we would like to leave them anonymous and wish them happy birthday on behalf of the Preservation Commission.
All right, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
And we do have a meeting next month to review 202 Potawatomi. I know most board members have driven by in the last several weeks, but that was continued out so that we can finally put to rest.
Put that one to bed.
So I believe that concludes the meeting. Thank you, everybody, and drive
If
carefully.
anybody wants to give Dick the whole backstory on that, you can.